think there was a lot of times when the football wasn't great, but the tightness of the league and the scoreline jeopardies and all that kind of stuff just kept it enthralling all the way through. I mean, we're not going to sit here and pretend that it was a classic quality season in terms of football. It most certainly was not for the guys and gals who watched the 38 Celtic games. It was more about resilience, grit, determination, desire, hunger, fight, you name it. But sometimes those ones are the sweetest for supporters, when it's not all great and their team has to actually show you something. And that's what the Celtic team did for their supporters.
That's the thing. This season is, for a long part of it, from a Celtic fans' perspective, it was been the worst season in 30 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's probably turned out to be the best season in 30 years.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I think in terms of the twists and turns and drama, I think this season will be remembered by Celtic fans more than any of the last, was it 14 out of 15 titles?
Yeah.
I think this one will be the one that's remembered more than any of them because of what's happened this season. I mean, you go back to the start. I mean, what a wild ride. I mean, it's been incredible. You back to the summer, the failure, the growing kind of sense of frustration and panic at the lack of signings over the summer, the inevitable collapse in the Champions League, which caused an outcry, the supporters that set the tone for the kind of the breakdown with the punters. The gradual hints that Brendan Rodgers was losing his patience and there's a breakdown behind the scenes. Brendan walking out, then Martin O'Neill coming back in, which was an absolutely mind-blowing thing. Martin, who at that time was doing his tour and speaking tour everywhere, and he walks back into Celtic Park. I mean, it was like bizarre. He stays 3 weeks longer than they planned because he couldn't get a work permit for a guy in America that nobody had heard of. They go and get. Eventually get the guy in, and it's the biggest week of the season. They've got Hearts in a cup final and a European game. They get walloped in the three of them. People called for him to get sacked after 6 days in the job. 6 days. Turns out he lasted 33, only won 2 games out of 8. And Martin had got back to level in the league and then had to get back to another 6-point deficit. He comes back in, begging for players. Doesn't get any good ones in January. Signed 6 days. I mean, Rojo was decent enough. I mean, Oxlade Chamberlain didn't come in and played bits and pieces. The rest of them were pretty much hopeless. Didn't play a part in the game. Some of them never seen again. And yet, they seem to stumble on. And then they get to the Tannadice, and they need to win 7 games out of 7 to win the league. That's the talk. And every day, and I don't care who you speak to, it's like, not a chance is this team winning 7 games against the top 7 teams in the league at that point in time. And yet, they go and do it. They win 7 out of 7. The last 4 of them all coming from behind to win the last 4 games. I mean, Hibs, Rangers, Mull and Hearts coming from behind. By the way, this season as well is set me to the lonely bin because covering the games, as you know, we do it for online and on deadlines and all that stuff. 11 games this season have been decided. 11 out of 38 have been decided in the last 10 minutes of games. 11 out of 38. 10 of them were winners, and one of them was a draw at Ibrox, the 92nd minute penalty kick at Ibrox. That's not included the chucking in the extra time against Rangers in the League Cup, the penalty shootout in this, whatever it was, the Scottish Cup, the extra time in the League Cup, in the Scottish Cup semi-final. I mean, it has been utterly bonkers.
You forgot the penalty shootout in Kazakhstan.
Penalty shoot Kazakhstan. By the way, not only did I have a deadline, I had a flight to catch. I was on a 5 o'clock in the morning flight, and it was 20 past 2 in the morning. We got to the stadium.
Oh wow!
So just to add to that, I forgot about that one, Swanee. I was straight. I took my case to the game and went straight from a penalty shoot to the airport.
See, fans.
It was sorry, Dan. Just think it was recap there. Did remind me a wee bit of 2008. I think they needed 7 or 8 on Strachan's team. I think it was scarves flying onto the track when they lost at home at Motherwell, and Strachan, you know where to go.
Pop, yeah.
There's not a chance that Celtic were winning those last 7 games that season, and somehow they did it. But you're right, I think this season seems even more remarkable. Probably due to the fact it was maybe only it was one team that Celtic were chasing in 2008 when they were chasing that Rangers team, whereas this year there was 3 in the fight for a long spell of it. Incredible turnaround.
I think as well, obviously mentioned Martin O'Neill, but for me, he's just about the only manager I can think of that could have galvanised this, not just the team, but Celtic as a club, you know, to kind of persuade the Green Brigade to put everything behind them and look, let's just focus on it. It's been remarkable that he's managed to do it, and he's almost done it with two. We mentioned with 2 hands tied behind his back. January was terrible, and as I'm sitting here right now, I'm still thinking to myself, how did he do it? How has he pulled this off? I mean, it is remarkable that he's managed to win that league. I was like you, Mick. I was like, no chance this Celtic team wins 7 games. Maybe if Hearts and Rangers fold a bit, but no, 7 wins in a row. Just absolutely astonishing.
I think the unity in the stadium thing was maybe a double-edged sword. You know, Martin O'Neill was clearly a big part of it, and he spoke about it quite a lot. But, you know, he spoke about it the first time he was there earlier in the season, and it didn't change much. I think there was a sort of penny dropping realisation moment amongst the supporters that they're going to have to try and get behind the team, because they're not going to get it done on their own. As Michael made the point there about the Dundee United game at Tannadice, the kind of watershed there, he thought, well, it's really not going to happen for Celtic. And I think the supporters kind of got the message that, do you know what, we're going to have to maybe just try and galvanise the team in some way, shape or form. I'm not denying for a fact that Martin O'Neill had a big part to do with that, because he went on about it. But like I say, it didn't happen earlier in the season when he tried it. There was still, we were there in Paisley that night, Michael, when he pleaded, remember? The night Callum McGregor scored the goal in the injury time back in October, November time, the first time he was there, and he was kind of talking about it. It never really happened. I think, you know, one of the games after there was still protests and stuff. So I think it was a double-edged sword, but there's no doubt that the supporters did unify with the club towards the end of the season. Look at the results for that.
I think the Martin O'Neill effect, I don't think you underestimate it. And weirdly, not because of Martin O'Neill, the coach or tactician. I think that it's more the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, Martin O'Neill has got this. I mean, listen, I think at times this season that the coaching has been a bit kind of confusing, a little bit kind of disjointed. I think you can see sometimes the kind of conflict behind the scenes, because he admits himself that Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham and the guys don't see the game quite the same way as him.